there everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be giving some advice to beginner witches. So this video is primarily for people that are just getting interested in the craft, that just don't really know where to begin. Now I was there, it's quite scary and can be quite overwhelming when your heart is pulling you towards something but you really just don't know where to begin. So my first piece of advice on this would be to research, kind of get to grips with the basics of what witchcraft is. Now one great way of doing this obviously is through reading books. There are so many books of varying degrees of difficulty, varying depths. There are so many really great ones and there are some that aren't quite so great. Now I'm not going to be actually naming specifics in this video because it would just make it way too long, but what I will say is that if you try to read books that aren't someone giving their opinion as fact. Now if someone states that in order to do this spell you have to do it at this time, you have to do it with this colour candle or it won't work, that's their opinion and frankly it's not true. Now that seems quite ironic, but I am truly a believer of the fact that you do what is right for you. You know, no one can tell you what's going to work and what isn't, per se. Obviously there are some essentials that really need to happen for a spell, but really that comes from within you, it's not about what you have. So in terms of books, look for ones that are more general, just giving pieces of advice, and read a range as well. Don't just read books on Wicca if you don't know what path you want to go down. You know, don't just read books on tree magic when you don't know anything about any other kind of magic and just assume you know it all just from that book, because there are so many different facets of witchcraft. They are all very different. There is some overlap, but you don't want to just read one very specific point of view and take that as gospel. You really need to get a broader sense before you can actually work out what options there are. You know, the more informed you are, the better you're going to be able to find something that works for you. Now, if you find books a bit too intimidating and costly, then the other great option is YouTube and the internet. There are so many people online talking about witchcraft and all the different types, so many different belief systems, it's just amazing. So just a quick search in YouTube or on Google. You know, you can watch videos that are just 10 minutes long on a specific topic just to kind of get a feel for it, and by doing that you're saving yourself quite a lot of time, because those people are often very knowledgeable, not always, but it's up to you to pick and choose what you actually believe, but getting a good broad range of ideas about a good broad range and idea of what's actually out there before you say this is what I am and this is what I believe. And I also think in terms of research, actually putting little things into practice and getting a feel for different beliefs is a very good idea before you can categorically say this is what you are. Now even if you do find something that resonates with you and you say this is what I am, but then there's bits of other types of witchcraft or different belief systems that also resonate with you, then there is nothing to say that you can't either change what you say you believe, change what you identify as. You can identify as something but also incorporate bits of other belief systems into there. You can be completely eclectic and just take bits from everything and do you. Just do whatever you want. So if you're really overwhelmed and don't know where to start and you're seeing people doing all these intricate spells with all these millions of different crystals, 10 different essential oils, don't worry, you will get there if you want to get there. But my advice would be to start small. If you've never done any kind of spellcraft before, don't put pressure on yourself to do this massive, fully fledged ritual with all these crazy things if that is just simply too scary for you, which it probably will be. So what I would suggest doing is just going for a walk, getting out into nature, any little thing that lets you connect more with nature. It could just be going for a walk and collecting a fallen branch or twig, if you've not got a massive place to store a branch, or a little pebble, or just something. You know, you don't have to do anything crazy. You can be creative with it, you can not be creative with it. But just start small, don't stress yourself out, because at the end of the day, this is meant to be something that enriches your life. It's not supposed to be something that stresses you out. Another piece of advice is don't be too rigid, especially when you're starting out. If you want to do a spell and you feel that you're ready, which let's face it, you probably are, then if you find a spell in a spell book and it says that you need all these different things, feel free to substitute it for things you already have. You really don't need to spend too much money. Like, please don't go out and buy all these crazy things straight away if you can't afford it or you don't know if this is the right path for you, because that's just a complete waste of money in my opinion. You can do witchcraft with what you've got in your house right now, trust me. You really don't need to go crazy. I mean, if you want to buy a couple of bits, I would probably suggest some kind of general all-round incense, a bunch of tea lights. I mean, you can create your own altar space so easily with what you have. If you're an artist, for example, you can paint some pictures to go around your altar space instead of spending 20 quid or 50 quid on a statue of a deity that you may want to kind of work with and feel out and see how you vibe with. Paint a picture, and at the end of the day, creating art is such a good way to connect with that deity as well. So it's not just for deities, it can be anything. It can be animal correspondences or just colours, to be honest. You do not need to spend loads and loads of money in order to get started, and I would strongly advise against it. Another piece of advice that I would give is to see if there are any local pagan groups in your area. The chances are there'll be a few. I'm in Yorkshire, and around me I can think of 5 off the top of my head that are a couple of bus rides away. So meeting other people is such a good way of getting a better understanding of all the different types of pagans, all the different types of witches, and just, listening to people's stories is just amazing. I've learned more just meeting people and talking to them. Go to events. I went to the first one on my own. Make sure someone knows where you are and stay safe. But look for real people to talk to. And again, if there just aren't any, it might take a bit of digging. If there aren't any, another great way of actually connecting to real people is obviously online. Join Facebook groups. There's one called Hedge Witchery, all one word, which has a lot of members, and they're very, very helpful. They're lovely people. If you've got questions, you get a really good response. It's a very, very active group, and I would highly suggest joining that and other Facebook groups and actually talking to real people. My other piece of advice would be to listen to your heart. There's a lot of people saying this is the right way, that's the right way, it won't work if you do this. At the end of the day, that is all personal opinion and it's up to you. If something you're doing feels right, just do it, just play around with it, have fun. Nothing terrible is going to happen to you. You're not accidentally going to summon an evil spirit unless you're doing something really weird. But if you're just doing general spells that are designed to make your life better, I mean, you can't really, the worst thing that's going to happen is it's not going to work. Now, you can check out my video on tips for successful spellcrafting if you are concerned about your spells not working, and that will give you some really helpful tips on what to do and, just things to kind of help ensure that your spell will be successful. Now, my final piece of advice is just do it. Just do it. If you've been sitting on this for a long time, and I know that I did before I actually put things into practice, just go for it. Do something small, a little ritual. You can just light a candle, do a little banishing spell, write something on a piece of paper that you want to get rid of and burn it. Just something small. It really doesn't have to be crazy, but please just do it. But just go for it. It will be fun, it'll feel rewarding, and you will know if it feels right. You really will. So that's all my advice for today. I'll probably make another one of these videos when I have more things to say, but I really hope that you found this helpful if you're just starting out, and I really hope that it's inspired you to actually just get out there and do it. And please feel free to share any tips that you have in the comment section, and like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more witchy goodness like this. Thank you for watching.